So right now it's 4:30 in the morning. I'm going over with Nate, who's behind me, who just woke up about 30 minutes ago. But this is how we do it. So this is day in the life of a real estate developer, and we're going over how to get properties appraised that you have not built yet. But what does that look like? So for example, we got 3 lots that we're going to be building on, and that's lot 12, 13, and 14, right? Those properties are going to look like this right here. So we do modern homes is my thing, bringing the spirit of Frank Lloyd Wright back. If you don't know who he is, look him up. And this is a part of our Elon Wright construction company. So when we're building these homes, it's basically Elon Wright residencies. So that's called a site plan right here. These are called site plans. So you basically take your site plan, you could overlay it on the actual lot, because this is when you are attempting to get approval. If you have a smaller lot, like these are smaller lots, 41 feet by 67. And this whole length right here is 135. So you got to show the property address, show everything. Can you turn that for me? Thanks. Then what you're doing is, once you have all these, that's my backup alarm just in case I don't wake up. So you have to show the lots, you have to show what it's going to look like, show what they call a marketing outlet. And then what you're doing here is you're going to be showcasing. Okay, 1 second. All right, so then what you're going to be doing is you're going to showcase, this is an appraisal. So you got to get the property appraised, right? Here, you go with that right there. Perfect. Zoom. Yep. You can zoom, you can do whatever you want. So, all right, so over here, now that you're appraising this, so you're appraising this lot right here. So over here, you're going to go here. There's the appraisal company. It's going to, sometimes it could be anywhere from $500 or $375, whatever. So a lot of times you need to supply the renderings or the images to the appraiser so he can know, exactly what you're doing. So you got to let him know, hey, I'm doing a new construction site. So we did this deck, and this deck showcases exactly what we are doing, which is right here. So this is the property that, so you want to get one lot appraised. You don't have to do all 3, you just need to do one, and because they're all duplicate. And then you're like, all right, well, this is what we're attempting to do. You got to show them all the details of everything you're doing. That means like, what's all the finishes, how many square feet is it? What's under roof? All this stuff you've got to show exactly what you're getting done. Right? Which actually, this is the final product here. So now on the appraisal, it's going to show an opinion. So his opinion of that appraisal, which you can go to a bank and get a loan for it, because that's what we're doing right now. Or you can get an investor, and you can say, for example, okay, I could build this for $175 a square foot or $200 a square foot. Basically, at the bottom line, I could build this for $250 or $240. I think it's $244 or the final number, or two something. And the value, I can get it appraised right now, and it's going to be at $322. So there's a difference in the middle, right? Now you instantly showing your investor security. So this is a security. And literally it's a security, because you can get paid on this right now, and you haven't even built it, right? So $322 is what it's going to come in at the appraisal. So worst case scenario, if we have to sell it for $300, we're still making a spread because we could build it at X, right? So this is what a residential property appraiser is going to look like. So it's going to like, here's a street address, here's, here's the financing that's possibly available for other people to sell this property. The typical market right now is 0 to 3 months, meaning the market is a very high in demand. The subject lot is a standard lot in that area. Here are other properties in the area that has sold in that area. Now, my property, in comparison to even the comps, there's no, so if you look at my property, the building frontage, right? You got to show the street value, the street view. This is left side, right side, different views of the property, the street. But then if you look at the comps, look at these properties. So if you look at mine here, and then now look at the other ones. So these properties not too far away, about a mile away, but there's nothing else in the market that's selling brand new. And there really is no modern at all. So for us, we can stand out. Now, if you're just building and you just want to build new because nobody's building new, great. Just get the cost down. That's really the catch. For us, we can get our costs down because we have everybody in-house. A lot of people don't have that. You have to sub it out. But it's harder in the beginning because you got to spend a lot of time, figuring it out, and you got to know construction yourself. So anyway, so these are the comps in the area in comparison to our comps or our property. So that's why it's called a comp. So then what happens on a new construction appraisal, they'll put all this data here. I really don't care about any of this stuff. And then they're going to attach the actual blueprints to the property. So this is the floor plan, and then he'll attach all the blueprints to this entire property. And so that whole entire blueprint set will actually be in. That's why it's a 49-page appraisal. And this is what it kind of pretty much looks like. So at the end of the day, you give this, like right now, I got to create a packet for the lender. The lender's going to look at right here, the opinion value. And that's how you do it. So that's how you can basically get, now you got to do the catch too is you got to do a couple new builds to actually start getting bank loans off of this. But worst case scenario, if you know what you're doing and you've worked with a builder before, or you're working construction right now, you're kind of building yourself up and learning the business, one day you could work with a company and you could see this, which is, hey, they got some lots, because even this, you still got to go through the city, you still got to get permit. I mean, there's a whole plethora of work items that you need to learn and do, but it's cool because then you build a structure, what I call livable art. For me, it's livable art. I like it. Other people, if you're just doing this for the dollar, you can make easier money possibly doing something else. But to me, this is more of like you can leave a cool impact in the community that is inspiring the people. And that's the cool part. So that's basically what it looks like when you got a blank site, nothing's on it right now. And then you're going to build off of that site, and then you need to figure out what the value is so you can give the security to your investors and or the bank. And then this is the final product. This typically could take about a week or two. So if you know an appraiser, you can call any appraiser. That's a good thing. And you can get this done. So any appraiser, you could say, hey, I need to this is the site. This is what I want to do. We created this deck on our own because we started learning that you've got to have a simpler way to communicate what you're doing. And development decks are the way to go. And then this is the value that they're going to say at the end of the day, what it's going to be for that property. So hopefully this makes sense. Great. Leave a comment below. Or if you're watching this just for training purposes, great. Leave a comment below, if you've got any questions related to it. And we'll take it from there. Thanks, sir. All right, part 2, appraisal class. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. What's the question?
So the question was, when you get the appraisals from the appraiser, do the comparables have to be brand new build, or is it just any comparables in the neighborhood, or how do they determine?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, easiest way to answer that one, I got 2 phases. So when you're dealing with value, So how do you establish property value, right? So how do you establish property value? I created this as a cheat sheet. Is a couple things. Number one, it's got to be usually 5 years up, 5 years down of the property that you are about to build or rehab. So it's got to be similar in square footage, similar in style, similar in upgrades and or downgrades. And then it's got to be sold within the last 6 months, right? So it's got to be in those kind of parameters to meet as a comp. And that's what that looks like, which I'll print this out too. I'll give this to you. So what I normally typically would do too is whenever I'm negotiating a property with a owner, I'm actually giving this to them so they can see, hey, this is how I establish property values. You know, so it's got to be, because this is what appraisers are going to do. They're going to look at the property and they're going to like, look, I got to be within 5 years up, 5 years down of this property. So these are all new construction. So meaning it's already been built, right? It's brand new. Well, mine's going to be brand new. So there's 5 years up, 5 years down. We're there. Similar in square footage. Well, this is 1,280 square feet. All right. This right here is 1,440, 1,500. This is similar in square footage. So it's like right there. So that's a good thing as well. So, and where you see that is right here. And he's going to have the square footage. 1280 gross, right? Then you got upgrades. Well, I got a lot of upgrades on the property. So concrete floors, modern fixtures, high-end finishes. So these are similar as well. They probably, some of them have granite, some of them don't. But at the end of the day, it's still new construction. And then you got, but if you got a rehab, then you have to look at it and say, hey, this property that sold for $340 had granite countertops. Yours, you know, barely has like wood in it. So that's going to bring the value down. That's not going to bring the value up. So if that property was $340 and yours still has crap inside of it, you're just probably going to, you know, be at $300. You don't know. And then it's got to be sold within the last 6 months. So some people, oh, my uncle's house sold 15 years ago for this. I'm like, man, that don't count. You know, but people don't know that. They don't know the appraisal, so they have no clue. They're gonna go off of what they think. Well, my brother's house down the street 3 years ago sold for that. Well, that don't matter. And then your brother, he's got a wood frame house, and you got a block house. That don't count either. You got a 2-story house that's on an acre. Your brother lives in the city. See, these are not comparables. So just knowing this right here will help a ton. It's just, you know, just looking at 7 steps of establishing property value. So, perfect.